Senior Policy Advisor for the agency, and I'll give you a report on legislation and some updates on some things that happened from the last session. One of the things that we will do after the break is that the Veterans Affairs Advisory Committee will take up recommendations from a work group that worked on 3 separate bills. These 3 bills, the legislature asked specifically for the Veterans Affairs Advisory Committee to take a look at the legislative concepts in those bills and then come back and make a recommendation in writing, a report, to the interim legislative committees for veterans. So it'll be the Senate and the House Veterans Committees, and we'll deliver that report in January. But we will address that after the break. The next thing I'd like to talk to you about is the implementation of the Campus Veterans Grant Program, and this was under Senate Bill 143. Senate Bill 143 provided $1 million in grants administered by the agency to community colleges and public universities to apply for, and the grants could be up to a maximum of $100,000. We had, I think, 12 community colleges and public universities apply for these. We are going to have an evaluation committee next week that looks at all the grants and makes the awards. So it's really exciting. And the purpose of the grant program was to help veterans transition from the military to the community college or public university, be successful in that situation, and then transition out into the community and the workforce. So there are kind of 3 different transition periods that this particular grant covers. It was specifically, a lot of community colleges and public universities in Oregon have a Veterans Resource Center where veterans can come and study and network with other veterans and get help on referrals to different kinds of community services, and make a contact with our county veteran service officers. The other thing, they have activities there. It's a place to study. Most of them have study areas, computers, printers, and so on for veterans to use. And then they have something called a Veterans Resource Coordinator. And our very own Kim used to be that person at Portland Community College before she moved over to Multnomah County. And they really guide the program, implement the program, and work with the veterans. So this is to basically enhance and expand these kinds of projects at the community colleges and public universities. The next thing I'd like to talk to you about is another grant program, and that came out of House Bill 2891, and it is a grant program primarily for nonprofits, veteran service organizations to apply for. It's a smaller grant. It's $550,000. Grants can range from $25,000 to $250,000 in that program, and it is to provide services to veterans. All of these come from lottery fund dollars, so they must be spent on providing services to veterans. And they include things like healthcare services, mental health care services, housing services, any kind of service, transportation, anything that could be provided. We just finished the rules yesterday, going to file those and put out a request for grant proposals process. So we will get that out on our website, and if you go onto our website, you can ask to be put on mailing lists for different things, and so you'll get email blasts about things like that. So I encourage you to do that if you're interested in all in those things. You can also, on our website, on the front page, it'll say applying for grants. There's a whole little separate button there that you can click on, and the Campus Veterans Program is already on there. Pretty soon, this new program will be on there. So check back and see that. And then probably applications will be due in January, late January sometime, and we'll go through that process. Let's see. There was a House Bill 5006 budget note, and that's just a little note that says that the legislature wants you to do something, and the legislature tasked the agency with staffing a rural medical training center work group. This is a work group specifically looking at the need for additional educational medical training in Roseburg. And it's sort of in anticipation of a potential third veterans home in Roseburg. They think that there may be a need for additional medical training. So this is to look at those kinds of issues. That's been going on. I've been attending those kinds of meetings. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The other thing that Sharon mentioned was the Lines for Life. We currently have a contract with an organization called Lines for Life that provides suicide prevention crisis line. That was awarded to Lines for Life based on a request for proposals, an RFP, and we are just finishing up a new request for proposal for that because that contract expires March 1st. So we're getting a new request for proposal out right now on that. And then let me talk to you about the session.